what is at the root, if you can say, of people's sexual problems? I mean, you said everybody's going to experience it at some point in their lifetime. And I'm sure everybody listening can think of a time or a relationship or something where they were experiencing that. But what does it come down to? Is it communication, or does it kind of vary depending on the situation?
It comes down to 3 factors. The first factor is you and the things you're experiencing, your past experiences, your traumas. If you have, unresolved, let's say, sexual trauma or relationship trauma from the past, like all of those will manifest in your current relationship and therefore will be the cause of its demise. So you are the person that is responsible for your own mental health and sexual health and relationship health. So that's the first factor of like, you have to take an audit of like, is there something that's about me that is a holdup?
Mm-hmm.
If you feel like, I'm myself, I feel comfortable being in this relationship, I'm expressing, I know how to have an orgasm and experience pleasure, so it's not me, then it's between you and them. So it's an interpersonal problem, and that's the second factor.
Mm-hmm.
If it's an interpersonal problem, it means it's a communication problem. Is it because the way you communicate? Is it the way you deliver messages? Because for some people, they have good intentions, but they don't communicate well, right? For a very easy example is men asking, "Did you come?" You mean, how was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Try how was it next time. Not, did you come? What was I going to say? What was I supposed to say? If I say no, then that will hurt your heart and your dick.
Yes.
And if I said yes, I'd be lying. So the interpersonal problems can be the second factor of problems. And the last type of problems is societal problems. Is it your culture? Is it your religion? Is it their culture, their religion? So that's more like societal issues and how you process those societal expectations and norms. So yeah, the 3 main factors of sex issues would be you, interpersonal problems, and societal problems.
It's so interesting because I feel like it's so uncomfortable to look at. You mentioned an audit. I mean, do you recommend somebody sit down and they go, okay, this is my trauma, this is how I'm feeling about things, and, look at your own stuff? Like I told you before, I'm sober. So that's something that we do regularly in sobriety is we take an inventory. They say like a business that doesn't take inventory can't be successful. You have to be aware of the stuff that you have, I guess. Yeah. And so we look at it emotionally. But is that what you recommend somebody do
100%.
With their sexual wellness? Okay.
Yeah, a sexual audit. Yeah. And that's what I do when, I work with clients or even my students at Cal State. Like if I teach a concept and they're like, oh my God, I feel like I have this problem. I say, okay, let's sit down. Like, let's list out some of the reasons why this occurs, right? So take an audit of the you part. What are some of the past experiences and the person that you are today that maybe is inhibiting you in having a great sex life? And then the interpersonal part, if you have a partner, what tends to be the issue between you and them? Is it the delivery? Is it not communicating? Is it walking on eggshells? And then the third factor would be societally, are you from a certain culture or religious background that has like a very strong belief about something, right? I work with LGBTQ people that, some of them can't get away from the idea of having gay sex is bad. It's like, I can't get my dick hard because I feel like it's wrong. And that's a religious belief issue in which it's a different kind of issue to find a method of healing from.
How do you work with people through issues like that? Because I feel like those kind of fundamental things are so hard to overcome. Or somebody with sexual trauma, or, I think that in this country, we just kind of have this like puritanical attitude where like, we think things like masturbation are like inherently bad. And, I remember having those beliefs and I don't even know where they came from because I didn't grow up in a religious family. It was just kind of absorbed, culturally.
Yeah.
So how do you...
Like the American culture, if you will.
Yeah.
Unless you grew up in like a very sexually positive
liberated
family
yes.
and like, maybe like San Francisco.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think most people that I have encountered that have asked me questions have been surrounding shame.
Yes.
Not wanting to do something or not being able to experience things fully due to the blockage that's in your mind that you can't overcome. There is a method called restructuring beliefs, and it does take a while, but it does take, taking apart everything that you currently believe in or were taught to believe in, writing them down, talking about each bullet point and giving a different meaning to that sentence, and then now occupy that new sentence with this sense of pride, and then continue to do it daily, whether it be it through looking in the mirror and saying it, or journaling, or meditating, or whatever is your personal practice. But you have to do it in order to continue to occupy a new belief. And, as a sex coach, like the main issues that I experience, that I see from people, it's not necessarily these like deep rooted issues, because if they do have like deep rooted maybe psychological issues or abuse, I typically send them to like trauma therapists first, because trauma therapists are trauma informed, and they have certain practices that will help you go through and either reliving it or getting rid of the sense of a victim from those traumas. I typically work with clients that have been healing through their traumas and want to set new sexual goals and want creative solutions to get to those goals.
Let's talk about some of those solutions. So,
yeah.
I mean, we were also talking before about how sexual wellness is such an important part of overall wellness. And I think when people hear wellness or they talk about wellness, they talk about nutrition and physical exercise and mental health and maybe spirituality and mindfulness. But we were talking before about like sexual mindfulness, which is something that's really important to you. How does sexual wellness fit into somebody's overall wellness?
In my opinion, and I'm biased, but in my opinion, I think sexual wellness is very much like the foundation of overall wellness. As you can see, when people are sexually frustrated, it affects their every part of life. I have had clients that are binge eating because his wife stopped having sex with him for the last 3 years, right? And he's now binge eating due to dissatisfaction and frustration, and he doesn't know what is a healthy outlet or how to communicate the dissatisfaction. So in my opinion, I think sexual wellness is very much one of the foundation, apart from, health is wealth. I think everyone knows that. When you have a good and healthy and regulated sex life, the kind of sex life that you desire, it positively affects other parts of your life. You can see people that are also like sexually frustrated or having sex issues in their relationship, that it shows on their skin even.
Yeah.
Like sometimes they have skin problems and they go to dermatologists. I don't know why. Oh, but they never thought about perhaps because you have never had an orgasm with your current partner for the last 5 years, right?
Yeah, you get that glow. I mean, it's like such a cliche, but it's true.
It is true. It's so true. You do get that glow. That's why I highly whenever I talk to people about life issues, I'm prescribing them masturbation.
Yeah.
Like maybe you should masturbate. Yeah.
But it does do something to you hormonally, right?
Yes, 100%. When you feel, like down and maybe a little bit like you need a little that extra umph in your life, I always go, have you tried masturbation? Because you masturbate, there's an orgasm, there's, feel good hormones that are released like oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin. So it is a good practice. It's like going to the gym, coming back, masturbate. Like that's my whole routine. That's what I did this morning.
I love it. Love the honesty. Well, I think so many people still have shame around it. Like we were talking about before. You were kind of saying, there's these 3 parts. There's the beliefs, there's you, and there's the other person. So do you recommend people start like working on themselves and learning their bodies and masturbating and getting comfortable with that before looking at the other person if they're in a relationship? Or how do you recommend somebody go about that?
I would recommend doing them concurrently. You know, that sentence, I've been seeing it a lot, like the you gotta love you before you love someone else. And there's a lot of therapists nowadays saying like, no, you can do both.
Yeah.
You can, you know, have self-improvement while being in a relationship and improving that relationship at the same time. Like you can do both. Humans are complex, are intelligent, and are very capable. So if we choose to live a sexually fulfilling life, we can do both. We can make ourselves feel more comfortable through different practices like sexual meditation, journaling, reading more sexuality books, and masturbating and feeling more comfortable with our own bodies, as well as learning to positively communicate about sex with your partner. You can do both. But you know, when people talk about sexual shame and what are some of the self-help practices that you can do that is going to be that's going to have like realistic results, I always say people feel uncertain when they don't have enough information. So the very first step is to gain enough information about that topic, and that needs to be through education. So like through reading, through listening to podcasts, through finding, you know, articles and kind of making sure that you have all the information you need in order to move forward. So if it is like a lot of shame from, let's say, religion or purity culture, maybe read through it. Read through the history of purity culture, why we all come to believe the Madonna whore complex. Why is the society shaming women for body count? Why, you know, that all of these things. I think educating yourself and having information will reduce your uncertainty and increase your confidence.